I think that a lot of people think that you need softwares like Procreate or Clip Studio Paint or Photoshop to create your own illustrated photos, like a full painting of some sort digitally to sell on Print-on-Demand or sell as printables. However, as I revealed to you guys on my Greek inspiration video, I did this painting completely on Canva using Creative Fabrica elements as well as Canva elements and some of their little image tricks. And I would like to share with you guys exactly how I did that, as well as how to tweak that design to turn into something like this. You ready? Let's get started. Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is MeyAroyo and I teach creative people how to sell their art online. And today I want to show you guys how to take Canva to its full potential. I'm kidding, there are so many things you can do with Canva, but take Canva to its full potential by creating a full painting using just Canva and graphics from Creative Fabrica. I think that this system that I'm about to show you is truly a way for people who don't have all these new softwares, who don't have an iPad with Procreate, who don't know how to use Photoshop, who don't know how to draw, but still want to feel artistic. I mean, a lot of us don't just want to go to Canva or Creative Fabrica and just download something and use it as is. We want to feel like it's our own. And I can tell you, even after illustrating a lot of different images and pictures and paintings, I really do feel like these sunflowers are my own, even though I made them with Canva and Creative Fabrica. Side note, for those of you who don't know what Creative Fabrica is a huge marketplace for graphics, fonts, patterns, and all kinds of cool stuff, especially if you're doing print on demand. An all-access pass for Creative Fabrica costs $29 a month, and for viewers of this channel, there is a special discount, link down below in the description, for your first month with Creative Fabrica for just $1, and the rest of your membership for 35% off. So that's a little under $20, which is pretty cool. And if you guys want to know a little bit more about Creative Fabrica licensing, there was a full video that I dedicated just about explaining the different types of licenses you can have, and you are welcome to check it out. To start this process, I already knew what I wanted to design. I had a photo that I took of a sunflower field, and I wanted to use that as inspiration for my Canva design. I also knew the size that I think I want to use. I sort of feel like it's a size that I took from my Redbubble days, which is 5,000 by 3,500 pixels, because that's how I used to plan my wall art, or 3,500 by 5,000. This is how I used to plan my wall art pieces so that they will look good on postcards and cards. So that's the size I use. I went to Creative Fabrica. I found 3 different listings for sunflowers and sort of checked if the sizes of them are going to fit me. And I know that a lot of people ask, how do you know this size fits you? And I'm like, okay, that depends on the size of the design. I mean, if your design is 3,500 pixel tall and a sunflower will be 600 pixels, so it's only going to be good for 1/5 of the screen. So I did end up more connecting with one of the listings of the sunflowers. And of course, everything that I use from Creative Fabrica will appear down in the description below with links to those individual listings. But let's make myself smaller for one sec, so we can start with Canva and actually start doing this thing. So as I said, 5,000 by 3,500 pixels. I took my photo that I took of the sunflower field and I sort of stretched it all over. I didn't want to stretch it completely because I didn't want to make it a part of the background, because I wanted the option to move it or make it go away easier. And I did reduce the opacity of it a little bit so I can paint on top of it. And then I went and searched through everything that I downloaded. I basically went over all of these 3 different listings for sunflowers to see the sizes and what is best for me. I found that one type of the sunflowers was the best type for me, and those were the ones with that black little lining. It was super cool, and I was playing around with it so much, and I feel like half the way I was thinking to myself, oh my God, sunflowers are supposed to turn and look to the sun. Where is my sun in this process to know where the sunflowers are going to go to? And I think that the first and initial step with all of this was just to take out as much sunflowers as I could one by one and try to adjust them, whether it's playing around with positioning backwards or forward, playing around with the sizes, flipping them from side to side and seeing that they adjust together, which was a very long process. I think the entire footage of just aligning several of these sunflowers is over 10.5 minutes of just moving a sunflower. Does this go here? Does this go here? Does this thing sort of blocks the sunflower behind it? And throughout all this time, I'm thinking to myself, what am I going to do with the background? I mean, you can see that these sunflowers are just, you know, popping out of nowhere. Am I not going to have a field? Where is the actual field in it? And at that point, I made the background disappear. Yeah, that was completely unnecessary. And started more playing with the sunflowers, trying to understand the direction of where the sun would come from. So the sunflowers are turning that way, or even saying, you know what, I don't care where the sun is coming from because it's a painting, it's not an actual photo, and I don't have it, and I don't have to make it like true to what a sunflower field is. Duplicating and duplicating and duplicating and duplicating and using so many sunflowers that it was insane. And at some points, I think it also felt like a huge mess. I felt like I'm looking at it and I'm like, okay, if I'm looking at a field, then the flowers closer to me need to be bigger or smaller. Am I looking at it from down? Am I looking at it from afar? So for me, this was a huge game, and I think I could make so many different types of paintings just with sunflowers. It was insane. And at the end of it, I was like, okay, I need a background. So I literally tried searching for grass, and then I remembered, okay, I have this little guy here, that leaf. Created a new design and checked out the leaves that came around with that specific sunflower bundle, especially that one leaf. And I know, you know, it's one leaf. What can you do with one leaf? I'll tell you what you can do. You can copy paste it a lot. You can copy paste it and copy paste it and then copy paste it and then group the entire 4 leaves and copy paste them, and then group everything together and copy paste that as well, and constantly group everything together to create this huge line of basically leaves pointing up, and then duplicating that line, moving it a tiny bit to the right, duplicating, moving it a tiny bit to the left, and duplicating it again and again and again. And I made it on a separate layer, on a separate design on Canva, because that just makes it easier. And then grouping everything together, copy pasting it, putting it on my original design, and pushing it all the way to the back to be behind my sunflowers. And at that point, I was like, okay, this is cool. I'm going to ungroup them so that I can group just small pieces of them together and add them to my design, because obviously a field is not going to be a full horizontal, like identical line. So maybe just playing around with my background a little bit, trying to figure out how many leaves I'm going to put behind, or maybe I'm going to remove some of them behind to create some kind of an angle. And that process to me was brilliant. And then I was thinking, okay, you know, I need something behind my field. So I went to Canva and I typed in sky or sky watercolor to be a bit more, I don't know, a bit more targeted to something that would actually fit my existing sunflowers. And the sky watercolor, I couldn't find something that, I don't know, that I went like, okay, this is mine. So I went back to Creative Fabrica, and I think that's a part of having a subscription that is so easy. I could just download a bunch of stuff. If I use them, I use them. If no, no. And I found really cool watercolor clouds, because at first I was thinking, you know what, I'm going to create the clouds myself. I was very ambitious at that point, and I found like really cool watercolor clouds with glitter that were this like orange thing, as well as so many celestial elements, as well as watercolor digital paper packs. So falling snowflakes and watercolor clouds were the 2 listings that I downloaded for me to try and see what happens on Canva. I downloaded almost all of them into Canva. I selected a few things that I think are better for me. Sometimes I just drop everything to Canva. Sometimes I select a little bit. And I was playing around with like dark, very dark sky behind me. And I don't know if you can see, but obviously this doesn't fit my entire painting. And this was 3000 by 3000 pixels. So what I did is choose a size and then duplicate it and then flip it to basically create a seamless vibe to it. Of course, by trying to attach it in a way that the line in the middle is not going to be so visible. And I was looking at it and I was like, maybe it's nice. Maybe I should flip it over so the sky is going to be darker as it goes down instead of darkness behind my sunflowers. I thought that might be better, and then sent everything to the back. And it does look a bit more organic once it's in the back of something. Then I turned into small adjustments, whether it's duplicating some of these leaves that I had in the back so I can fill in some white spaces at the bottom, and maybe put in some clouds. That was one of my initial thoughts. And I was looking at this and I was like, okay, these clouds are not working for me. Maybe if I put some shadow on them, and that was not working for me at all. I tried all of these, and at the end I just said, you know what, I'm just gonna do something else with it. I need a sun. So I went to Canva, I typed in sun watercolor and searched for a sun. And searched and searched, and then I said, okay, sun doesn't work for me, moon. Again, it's a process. I keep feeling like people think that everything comes so easy to me. Honestly, no. No, and I was playing, like, for example, with this moon. Let's make it bigger. Let's make it smaller. Let's put it in the back. Let's put it in the middle. Let's put it on the side. And I do love the fact that I can play around with drop shadows to give it a bit more of a solid look. I feel like I should have done it with all of the sunflowers. And then I played around with the backdrop shadow. I don't know why. I don't know why. I kept changing my mind between shadow and shadow until I gave up, and then tried again with the glow effect. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to make the glow work for me. Maybe I can make white glow behind it. Maybe if it's less transparent, more blurred, not blurred. Do I even want the moon to give out this strong shadow? And maybe it should be black. And at the end of the day, once you finalize what you want to do, you have to look into that saving pause at the top and realize that, yeah, don't touch anything until that saving pause is going to saved. Otherwise, you might lose your work, especially while running an effect. Once that moon was done, I had to, of course, send it to behind mostly everything because it can't be in front of my sunflowers, and decide on the size of it. If it's going to be on the right or on the left or on the center. And this, again, took some playing around to do, but at the end, I think I found myself by placing it at the far end of one side, basically trying to think if the sun comes here and the moon is coming there, they're going to switch places. And then I found the sun watercolor that resembles the moon as much as I could in terms of the design style, and giving it a drop shadow or a glow shadow, whatever shadow is going to look more organic with the moon, because I already had my other element here, so it's easier to just adjust it according to that first element. And again, of course, waiting for saving pause. And at the end, once everything is saved, endlessly playing around with the sizes and where I want to put it, and sending it behind my sunflowers. And when I look at it, obviously I think this is one of my best works, and I'm thinking, you know, what can you do with something like this? So one of the first things that you can do with something like this, of course, after you click on the share button on Canva and you download this design, is to go to a print-on-demand supplier like Printful, for example, and look at their various types of wall art. And for this specific example, I chose to go with a premium luster photo paper poster in inches, and I chose a really big size. I think it was like the 16 by 20 inch, to basically see if that fits the style that I have, the size that I have going into the design itself. And the first thing I do is obviously, you know, put in the design and applying it on my canvas, and it automatically transformed my canvas into a horizontal position, but I also did it a bit manually. And I felt like I have a lot of margin from the sides, so maybe turning it into 18 by 24 inches. And this is 5,000 by 3,500. And the DPI is not 300, but it still says it's good. 300 DPI is not a standard for everything. You want to know if your DPI is good? Check out the system you're uploading to, because 194 DPI for Printful for this type of product was good enough. And I do think that it turns out to be a really, really nice painting. Like, I really like this result. I think I'm going to order it. We have so many paintings here in the house. I don't know what I'm doing. In any case, I decided that this is not enough, and I want to try and do something a bit more special with my little photo. So I went into Zazzle, and I honestly wanted to put this photo on top of a notebook, which sounds kind of weird since the entire photo is horizontally aligned and not vertically aligned. And with notebooks, we have vertical alignment pretty much, you know, a given, or a 1:1 ratio. So for that, I have like 2 different tips or tricks if you want to do something similar. And I went through all these notebooks. By the way, we're having a full Zazzle notebook tutorial in the next few weeks, so I'm not going to stay too long about explaining the different notebooks. I also have a bunch of notebooks from you guys and from my own store to show you the actual quality. But trust me, if I'm still designing this after getting the quality was quite good. So I went into the notebooks and I was trying to see what kind of notebook I want to design, and hopped into the designer of a planner because I thought that was cool. And again, I'm faced with the issue of having a horizontally aligned photo on a vertically aligned planner. So what I thought I would do is that I would sort of stretch the photo and then put half of it on the design. So one side is going to be the moon, and on the other side, which is on a different layer, which is the back layer, I'm going to do the exact same thing. I'm going to have the exact same photo. I'm going to stretch it to fit the entire planner size, but I am going to sort of push it to the other side so that I can see the sun. So I have sun on one side and moon from the other, which was kind of cool. So I got moon on the front and sun on the back. But then I thought, you know what? I can make this even cooler. And the way for me to make it even cooler is if I can design a light version of this. And the size for this notebook is 8.5 by 11 inch, which means I will go to Canva and design something that will fit 8.5 and 11 inches. And in that case, when I'm talking in pixels, and I am multiplying it by 300 because I want to create a maximum DPI that will be good and nice for it, I designed a 2550 pixels by 3300 pixel design, and that is basically a cover size of a planner. And then what I had to do is basically take everything from my original size of 5000 by 3500 and copy paste it into my new dimensions. Again, 2550 by 3300 pixels for the planner. And this is what comes of it. Doesn't look all that fancy now, huh? And I was working with different layers because I don't want anything to get lost. I was stretching the sky as much as I can. I realized that maybe they're not aligned. I can still see this line over here, even though I can't. It's kind of confusing. I do like to play a bit with the zoom in, zoom out, because sometimes something is really good, but from when it's zoomed out, you can see a line, but when you're zoomed in, you can see the line is not there. I separated the moon and the sun from the sunflowers so I can easily collect all of my sunflowers, group them together so I can copy paste them to my second design layer, which is going to be one of the sides of my planner. It's actually kind of cool. This is also a way for you guys to design it if you want to do a postcard, or just turn this into a vertically aligned design and not just horizontal. And I was really conflicted about how I'm going to align it, because it felt like every time I'm moving it, it's not enough. This size is not good. This side is not good. It was kind of difficult. So I ended up ungrouping those so I can move some elements around myself to see if I want to adjust some pieces myself. But at the end of the day, it wasn't that much of a difficult thing. I just decided to break the concept of all sunflowers looking to the same directions. And I was also trying to play around with my background. So I wanted to play around with some of the leaves to make them go away, because I had like a different skyline now, or a different view on things. And some of the leaves were just not in the place where I wanted them to be as a part of my background. I felt like I have too much of a background, and I kind of want to make it a bit more vibrant and a bit more, I don't know, maybe a bit less or a bit shorter in the back. And I did this version of my dark sky, and I took the sun and placed it there. And I was like, okay, no, this is darkness. We need the moon. This is exactly why I did it for. So I took the moon and I placed it there, and I really like this one. And I thought to myself, you know what? I think I'm done. I think this is going to be my cover. It's really good. It's exactly the size of a cover, and it will fit a lot more easily into being a planner, because it's literally the size of the cover. Like it's going to be a much more native cover to look at than that big old mess with the sun and the moon on both sides. I am ignoring the red lines because the red lines are not as important to me as the blue lines. And I did the design to adjust itself completely towards the blue lines, which are actually the size of the pattern, maybe making it slightly bigger. And I did like seeing this time. I did like the vibe of it. I felt like it's a bit better than that horizontal painting trying to fit itself into a vertically aligned design. And I thought to myself at first, you know what, maybe I can do the same with the sun. Or another thing that I can do is I can duplicate that same design. I can make the moon go away, and I can take my sun, placing it in the other side. And then I remembered that when I downloaded these images, when I downloaded these patterns of the sky, there were multiple colors to them. So I just went into these other colors and chose the blue option. And there you have it within seconds. Of course, I need to take one of the sides and flip them over so it will be seamless. But there you have it, the same exact design on on a daytime. And I felt like it looked so much better with the sun. I have no idea how come it looked better to me because I really like the dark version first, but I really also like this version. And I was playing around with the sun and shadows again. I feel like I spent around 10 minutes of my life during this little segment just playing around with shadow effects. By the way, there is a full tutorial on anything you can do with images on Canva, all of the amazing effects that you can do. If this is running too fast for you, I will leave a link to that tutorial down below in the description. After playing around with the shadows so much, I finally liked my end result, downloaded it, and placed it, well, on the other side of the planner. And thus creating myself a planner that one side of it is the sun and sunflowers, and the other side of it is sunflowers at night, which I'm pretty obsessed about. I hope that you guys enjoyed this little recap on basically how to take different elements and turn them into a photo. I definitely think that having my own photo on the back of it was definitely helpful as well as inspiring, because I don't think that I would have stuck by making this extremely long design if I didn't actually like what I was doing, if I wasn't feeling passionate about, well, sunflowers. So if you have any picture in mind, not in mind, maybe in your photo camera, you can go ahead and download it to Canva. Go to Canva or Creative Fabrica and try to find these little elements that basically combine your photo, basically assemble a photo from various elements, just like, collaging. And if that is something that is interesting for you to do, I do have some tips for you guys to maybe do it better, maybe learn from my mistakes, or maybe do it faster or have a better result. But before I get to those tips, I would like to quickly say that if you like this video and found this content useful, please hit the like button down below, because every time you do, it really does help my channel. And subscribe to my channel if you are not yet subscribed. Moving on to the tips. And I feel like in this case, I have to go a little bit back to the beginning of the video where I told you this is the size I'm designing, and you have to check what is the sizes of the elements you're downloading to make sure that you're not going to take an element that is too small and stretch it too big, and the quality is not going to be good. The second tip I want to share with you guys is that it does take time to find the graphic elements that go along together with your idea. The graphic elements that are in the right size, as well as align together with each other. Like the colors are better with each other, because if I would have taken something that is like sunflowers with more of a pencil sketch, I don't think it would have looked as good with that background. And I really did like the fact that I found something with those black outlines, because I felt like that was a bit more organic with the moon and the sun having their drop shadows. So it might take you more time to find the right clip art that goes together, but no one says it's impossible. You can find various clip arts to go together even when they're made from different artists. And I think that having this enormous pool of graphics on Canva and enormous pool of graphics on Creative Fabrica really helped me out, having both of these sources together, so I can really play around with it and create the image that was in my mind on my Canva canvas. The third tip I want to tell you is to forget about that image in your mind, because the image that I had in my mind was to do exactly what the photo was, and I didn't, because I couldn't find these exact sunflowers. I mean, what are the chances of that? For me to do that, I would probably have to digitize it myself with Procreate, like I did with my one sunflower showing you guys in my Greek inspiration video. And I think that there are so many options available. It's all about trying to be creative and also maybe creating yourself this quiet space to focus. So maybe that will be my tip number 4, because I can definitely tell you that the reason why this stuck out for me and I felt like I was able to do this so calmly was because I was waking up in the morning, I was having my morning coffee, Misha was still asleep, I had the house to myself, there was a nice little wind, and I had 0 distractions. Because if I had any distractions while doing this part, this little image from photo, it would have taken me such a long time, way longer than what it took me, and I might have even given up in the middle. So I hope that you guys enjoyed this little video, and I hope that you go ahead and try some of these things yourselves. I do feel like it's a world of fun, and especially when we're talking about so many different platforms where these sizes are going to be enough. You can make really cool postcards, you can make really cool notebook covers, you can make so many things, whether it's for Zazzle, for Redbubble, for TeePublic. Even if you're selling books on Amazon, you can use this technique to create your own photo cover. It's just a way to bring photos to life. And if you don't have the access to the most amazing places to photograph, you can always check out photography on Pixabay or on Canva itself. Just remember, you're not really using that photograph. It's just a reference. You are mostly using the elements that are approved for commercial purpose and for print on demand. Because I feel like that's also a big part of it, to make sure that I have the right to use each and every single leaf of those sunflowers and the sunflowers and the sky and the moon and the sun. And with that being said, that was it for me for today. Just this quick little pop-up here to give you this idea and plant it in your head. I hope that you guys had fun. And as usual, I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye!